Captain Jake Morrison stood on the bridge of the UNS Discovery and watched the stars through the main screen. 3 years they had been out here in the dark between worlds, mapping empty space that no human had ever seen before. The ship moved slowly through what their charts called Sector 7 Alpha, a region so quiet that even their most sensitive equipment barely detected cosmic dust. Dr. Lisa Carter worked at her science station, studying readings that made no sense. For weeks now her instruments had been picking up energy patterns that looked almost too neat to be natural. The waves came in regular pulses, like someone was sending signals across the void. But that was impossible because every survey said this part of space was dead. Commander Ryan Blake sat at the communications console, frowning at his screens. Strange sounds had been coming through their receivers for days now, buried under the usual static of space. When he cleaned up the audio and ran it through the computer, it almost sounded like voices speaking in some unknown language. He kept telling himself it was just interference from distant stars, but deep down he knew better. Chief Engineer Maria Santos climbed up from the lower decks, her hands still dirty from working on the main computer. She had been trying to boost their signal processing power because something kept trying to break through their systems. Not like a computer virus or enemy attack, more like radio chatter from somewhere far away that their equipment was accidentally picking up. Navigation. Officer Kevin Wright hunched over his star charts, checking their position for the 10th time. That day, according to every map Earth had ever made, they were flying through completely empty space. No planets, no stations, no life of any kind for hundreds of light years in any direction. But his sensors kept showing faint traces of metal and energy that suggested ships had passed this way recently. The Discovery had left Earth as part of the deep space exploration program, sent to map the outer regions where no human had ever traveled. Their mission was simple: scan everything, record everything, and look for signs of planets that might support human colonies someday. What they found instead was a mystery that grew stranger every day. Lisa called out from her station that the energy readings were getting stronger. The pulses came more often now, and they seemed to follow patterns that reminded her of old Earth communication protocols. She ran the data through every analysis program the ship had, but nothing could explain what was making these signals, or where they came from. Ryan's equipment suddenly crackled with a burst of clear sound that made everyone on the bridge freeze. For just a moment, they heard what sounded like multiple voices speaking in harmony, using words that were definitely not human but seemed to carry meaning and purpose. The transmission lasted only seconds before fading back into static, but it left the crew staring at each other in shock. Maria ran full scans on their computer systems, looking for any sign that the signals might be affecting their ship. What she found was even more surprising than the voices. Their communication array had been automatically recording and storing the transmissions for weeks, as if the ship itself knew these signals were important. The computer had been trying to decode the messages using every language and cipher program in its memory. Kevin plotted the source of the signals and discovered something that made his hands shake. The transmissions were coming from all around them, forming a perfect sphere with Earth at the exact center. Every signal originated from just beyond a specific distance, as if there was an invisible wall that marked the edge of human space. Jake gathered his senior officers in the briefing room to discuss what they had found. The evidence was impossible to ignore. They had stumbled onto proof that intelligent life existed in the galaxy, and it was much closer than anyone had ever imagined. But if alien civilizations were out there sending messages to each other, why had Earth never detected them before? And why did all their signals stop at the same distance from human space? Lisa shared her theory that the energy patterns were too complex and organized to be natural phenomena. Someone or something was using advanced technology to communicate across vast distances, and they were doing it right outside the region that humans considered their local neighborhood. The implications were staggering because it meant Earth had been surrounded by alien activity for who knows how long. Ryan played back the clearest voice samples they had recorded, and the bridge fell silent as they listened to sounds that were definitely artificial intelligence but completely unlike anything humans had ever created. The voices carried emotions and urgency that suggested these were not just random transmissions, but actual conversations between different species or groups. Maria announced that she had successfully isolated and enhanced several hours of the alien communications. Her analysis showed that the signals used sophisticated encryption and compression techniques that were beyond current human technology. Yet somehow their ship's computer was slowly learning to interpret the basic structure of the messages. Jake made the decision that would change everything. Instead of returning to Earth to report their discovery, they would push forward to the edge of the signal sphere and try to make contact with whoever was out there. The crew agreed that humanity deserved to know the truth about their place in the galaxy, even if that truth was more complicated and dangerous than anyone had ever imagined. The UN's discovery moved carefully toward the edge of the signal sphere, every sensor active and every crew member at their station. Jake Morrison kept his eyes on the main screen as they approached the invisible boundary that seemed to separate human space from the rest of the galaxy. 3 days had passed since they first detected the alien communications, and now they were about to cross into unknown territory. Dr. Lisa Carter monitored the energy readings as they grew stronger with each passing hour. The signals were becoming so clear that their computer could almost translate simple concepts in numbers. She realized that multiple species were talking to each other using a common language or protocol that allowed different alien races to communicate across the galaxy. Suddenly, Ryan Blake's console erupted with alarms as his sensors detected a ship in distress just ahead of them. The vessel was unlike anything in human databases, with a sleek design that seemed to flow like liquid metal and energy signatures that flickered weakly like a dying fire. Emergency broadcasts were coming from the ship in multiple alien languages, calling for help in the universal distress codes that even humans recognized. Commander Blake reported that the alien ship appeared to be heavily damaged and losing power. Rapidly, life support systems were failing, and whoever was aboard would not survive much longer without assistance. Jake faced the first major decision of first contact: risk everything to save beings they had never met, or maintain safe distance and simply observe. Helen Ford, the ship's diplomatic advisor, argued against direct contact until they knew more about the aliens and their intentions. Her training taught her to be cautious when dealing with unknown species, especially ones with technology that seemed more advanced than human capabilities. But Jake's conscience would not let him watch intelligent beings die when his ship had the power to help them. The Discovery moved closer to the alien vessel, and Maria Santos worked frantically to figure out how their docking systems might connect with the strange ship. The alien technology operated on completely different principles from human engineering, using energy fields and molecular bonding instead of mechanical locks and airlocks. Communications. Officer Danny Rodriguez managed to establish basic contact with the alien ship using mathematical concepts and simple images. The response came back immediately in the form of star charts and medical symbols that suggested the aliens were grateful for human assistance, but also confused about where the rescue ship had come from. Lisa led the medical team that boarded the alien vessel wearing full environmental suits and carrying portable life support equipment. What they found inside shocked them beyond anything they had imagined. The aliens were tall and graceful with 4 arms and skin that changed color based on their emotions, but they were also clearly dying from injuries sustained in some kind of attack. The alien captain, his skin flickering between deep blue and silver, managed to communicate through gestures and simple drawings. He showed them images of larger ships with aggressive designs attacking his peaceful trading vessel. The attacking ships belonged to something he called the Dominion, a military empire that was expanding across the galaxy and destroying anyone who resisted. Nina Thompson, the ship's security chief, studied the weapon damage on the alien ship and realized that the attackers had used energy weapons far more powerful than anything humans possessed. The alien vessel's defensive systems had been overwhelmed by directed particle beams that could melt through their hull like acid through paper. Before the alien captain died, he managed to transfer a data package to the human computer systems. The information contained star charts showing Dominion territory, communication frequencies used by something called the Galactic Council, and most importantly, warnings about the aggressive expansion that was threatening peaceful species throughout. The Galaxy. Danny used the alien communication frequencies to send a message to the Galactic Council, announcing that humans existed and were offering assistance to the damaged trading vessel. The response came back within hours from dozens of different sources, all expressing shock and disbelief that an intelligent species had emerged from what they called the dead zone. Dr. Carter analyzed the alien technology and made disturbing discoveries about the differences between human and galactic engineering. The aliens built everything using advanced computers and energy manipulation, creating devices that were elegant and efficient but also fragile and complex. Human technology seemed primitive by comparison, but it was also much more robust and adaptable. Maria Santos found that she could understand alien computer systems better than the aliens themselves understood human machines. When she showed them how humans used mechanical backup systems and redundant safety protocols, the surviving alien crew members were amazed that anyone would build such complicated and heavy equipment. The first formal communication with the Galactic Council came through on the main screen as a tall, blue-skinned alien with large eyes and delicate features appeared before them. Ambassador Kethver of the Centaurian Republic spoke in perfect English that his computer had learned by analyzing human transmissions, welcoming them to galactic civilization with obvious curiosity and concern. Kethver explained that the region around Earth had been marked as lifeless for thousands of years, and no galactic species had ever thought to explore it thoroughly. The discovery that an advanced civilization had been developing there in isolation was causing panic among some species and excitement among others. Helen Ford took the lead in diplomatic discussions, trying to learn about galactic politics and humanity's place in the larger community. What she discovered was troubling because the galaxy was not the peaceful federation that humans had always imagined. Different species fought constantly over resources and territory. With the Dominion using military force to expand their empire, Jake realized that humanity had been accidentally protected by their isolation, developing in peace while the rest of the galaxy struggled with war and conquest. But now that they had announced their existence, they would need to choose sides in conflicts they barely understood, facing enemies with technology and experience far beyond human capabilities. The alien data package revealed the locations of Dominion fleets and their expansion plans, showing that they intended to explore and conquer the dead zone within the next few years. Humanity had perhaps months before hostile aliens would arrive at Earth, expecting to find empty worlds ready for colonization, but instead encountering a species that had spent centuries preparing for war against unknown enemies. The meeting chamber aboard the Anze Discovery had been hastily converted to accommodate the first formal diplomatic contact between humans and the Galactic Council. Ambassador Helen Ford sat across from a delegation of alien representatives, each more exotic than the last, while Captain Jake Morrison and his senior staff observed from nearby chairs. Ambassador Kethver led the alien delegation with his tall blue frame and oversized eyes that seemed to take in every detail of human appearance and behavior. Beside him sat a crystalline being whose body sparkled with internal light, a furry creature with 6 legs and multiple arms, and several other species that defied easy description. Colonel Alex Turner had arrived on a fast courier ship from Earth to provide military expertise during the negotiations. His weathered face and confident bearing marked him as a career soldier, but the aliens seemed to regard him with the same mild interest they might show toward a child playing with toy weapons. Dr. Lisa Carter presented her initial analysis of human and alien biology, explaining that Earth's harsh environment had produced humans with greater physical strength and endurance than seemed normal by galactic standards. The alien delegates listened politely but clearly considered these claims to be exaggerated boasting from a primitive species. When Kethver asked about human military capabilities, Colonel Turner provided what he considered conservative estimates of Earth's defensive forces. He mentioned that Earth could field approximately 50 million trained soldiers, supported by thousands of aircraft, ships, and armored vehicles, along with orbital defense platforms and missile systems. The alien. Delegates exchanged glances that humans were learning to interpret as amusement. The crystalline being, whose name translated roughly as sparkle of deep thought, explained that most galactic species maintain military forces of perhaps a few thousand specialists, since modern warfare was conducted primarily with automated systems and energy weapons. Turner tried to explain human military doctrine, describing combined arms tactics, air support, artillery barrages, and armored assaults. But the aliens seemed confused by concepts that required multiple types of units working together. Their experience with warfare involved fleets of identical ships firing energy weapons at each other until one side's shields failed. Dr. Sam Williams, the ship's medical officer, had been studying tissue samples from the deceased alien traders. With disturbing results, the alien beings were physically fragile by human standards, with bone density roughly half that of humans and cardiovascular systems that would be considered weak, even by elderly human standards, when Williams shared his findings during the medical portion of the discussions. The alien delegates initially assumed he was making errors in his measurements. Kethver explained that most galactic species had evolved on worlds with stable climates and few predators, developing advanced intelligence instead of physical prowess. Lisa demonstrated human engineering principles by showing the aliens how their ship's backup systems worked. The aliens were fascinated by the concept of mechanical redundancy, since their technology relied on sophisticated computer control that made backup systems unnecessary in their experience. Maria Santos explained how humans designed equipment to function even when damaged, using multiple independent systems that could operate without computer control. The alien engineers in the delegation found these concepts primitive but began to understand why human technology seemed so heavy and complicated compared to galactic standards. The discussions revealed fundamental differences in how humans and aliens approach problems. Where galactic species used advanced computers to optimize solutions, humans relied on adaptability and redundancy to handle unexpected situations. The aliens considered this wasteful, while humans saw alien methods as dangerously fragile. Colonel Turner described human combat training, explaining that every soldier learned to fight with multiple weapons in different environments and without technological support if necessary. The alien military advisors found this concept bizarre, since their warriors specialized in operating specific types of energy weapons from protected positions. When Turner mentioned that human soldiers regularly carried equipment weighing more than 30 kilograms during combat operations, the alien delegates assumed he was joking. Their own military personnel used powered exoskeletons to carry loads that humans would consider light, and the idea of soldiers functioning under such physical stress seemed impossible. Dr. Williams revealed another shocking discovery when he analyzed alien dietary requirements and metabolic rates. Most galactic species required carefully controlled nutrition and environmental conditions to maintain health, while humans could survive on almost any organic matter and adapt to extreme temperatures and atmospheric conditions. The medical data suggested that humans were essentially living weapons by galactic standards, with physical capabilities that exceeded most species' theoretical maximums. The alien doctors initially refused to believe the test results, insisting that such biological specifications would be impossible to maintain in any civilized society. Helen Ford tried to steer the conversation toward peaceful cooperation and cultural exchange, but the underlying tension was obvious to everyone in the room. The aliens saw humans as an interesting but primitive species that had somehow achieved space travel through brute force methods, while humans began to realize that their primitive capabilities might actually be advantages. Kethver finally addressed the real issue that brought them together: the Dominion expansion fleets that were already moving toward human space. He explained that the Dominion military was the most powerful force in known space, with energy weapons and shield technology that had conquered dozens of civilizations over the past few centuries. The alien ambassador tried to be diplomatic as he suggested that humans might consider voluntary integration into Dominion territory rather than face inevitable defeat in combat. From the galactic perspective, resistance to Dominion expansion was pointless, since their technological superiority was absolute and their military had never suffered a significant defeat. Colonel Turner listened to these warnings with growing concern, not because he feared Dominion capabilities, but because he realized the aliens had no idea what they were dealing with. The galactic community had become so dependent on energy weapons and automated systems that they had forgotten how to fight wars using tactics, strategy, and raw determination. Jake Morrison made the decision that would define humanity's role in galactic affairs. Instead of accepting alien advice to surrender before fighting, he announced that Earth would defend itself using whatever methods proved necessary. The alien delegates left the meeting convinced that they had just witnessed a primitive species choose suicide over common sense, not realizing they had actually declared war on an empire that had never faced an enemy like humanity. The Dominion fleet arrived at the edge of human space exactly when their intelligence reports predicted, expecting to find primitive defenses and frightened colonists ready to surrender. Instead, they encountered Patrol Captain Steve Collins, commanding Aegis Station, a heavily armed defense platform that immediately opened fire with weapons the aliens had never seen before. Fleet Commander Zachthel of the Dominion watched in confusion as human projectile weapons tore through his energy shields like they were made of paper. His shields were designed to deflect particle beams and energy blasts, but the solid metal slugs fired by human railguns simply ignored the energy fields and punched massive holes in his ship's hull. Marine Commander LeVar Mitchell coordinated ground defenses on the colony world of New Haven, where Dominion landing craft expected to face terrified civilians armed with primitive projectile weapons. Instead, they met organized resistance from soldiers who used combined arms tactics and artillery support that turned the planned invasion into a nightmare. The Dominion warriors wore advanced armor powered by energy cells and carried weapons that could melt through steel, but they had never faced enemies who used explosive shells, armor-piercing rounds, and coordinated fire support. Human weapons were designed to kill other humans, and they proved devastatingly effective against aliens who had never experienced such brutal directness. Squadron Leader Jason Hughes led fighter wings that confused Dominion pilots with maneuvers that seemed impossible by galactic standards. Human pilots trained in atmospheric flight could think in 3 dimensions and change direction rapidly, while alien pilots relied on computer-assisted navigation that followed predictable flight patterns. The space battle turned chaotic as human fighters dove between Dominion capital ships, firing missiles at close range before spinning away in directions that alien targeting computers could not predict. The Dominion fleet had overwhelming firepower, but they could not hit targets that moved like atmospheric aircraft instead of traditional spacecraft. Weapons Specialist Chris Morgan had spent months analyzing alien shield technology captured from the destroyed trading vessel. His team discovered that Dominion energy shields operated on specific frequencies that could be disrupted by electromagnetic pulses or simply bypassed by physical projectiles moving below certain velocity thresholds. The human missile systems proved particularly effective because they combined multiple attack methods in ways that confused alien defense systems. Each missile carried conventional explosives, electromagnetic pulse generators, and penetrator rods that could punch through armor even if the main warhead was stopped by shields. Admiral Patricia Wells commanded the human response fleet from the battleship UNS Yorktown, coordinating attacks that used human tactical flexibility against alien technological superiority. Her ships moved in unpredictable patterns, using gravity assists and debris fields to mask their approach vectors from alien sensors. The Dominion fleet possessed energy weapons powerful enough to destroy planets, but their fire control systems were designed for long-range combat between ships that moved in straight lines and followed standard tactical procedures. Human vessels that changed course randomly and attacked from multiple angles at once overwhelmed targeting computers that expected orderly battle formations. Captain Collins coordinated the defense of Aegis Station using tactics that would have been familiar to naval commanders from Earth's ancient history. He concentrated firepower on isolated enemy ships, used the station's bulk to absorb return fire, and launched coordinated strikes that maximized damage while minimizing exposure to alien weapons. The human defense strategy relied on redundancy and adaptability rather than technological superiority. When alien energy weapons disabled primary systems, backup equipment automatically came online. When computer guidance failed, human gunners switched to manual targeting. When shields were penetrated, armor absorbed the damage and kept fighting. Lava. Mitchell's ground forces demonstrated the effectiveness of human infantry tactics against alien warriors who had never faced coordinated resistance. Her soldiers used cover and concealment, mutual support, and fire and movement techniques that allowed them to defeat enemies with superior individual firepower. The Dominion landing forces found themselves trapped in a type of warfare they did not understand, facing enemies who seemed to anticipate every move and counter every advantage. Human soldiers fought as units rather than individuals, making them far more effective than their equipment suggested possible. Jason Hughes and his pilots proved that human adaptability could overcome technological disadvantage through superior tactics and training. They used debris from destroyed ships as cover, flew through asteroid fields that alien computers considered impassable, and attacked from angles that enemy weapons could not cover. The turning point came when Chris Morgan's technical team managed to capture an intact Dominion destroyer by using electromagnetic pulse weapons to disable its computer systems without destroying the ship. Human boarding parties armed with conventional weapons overwhelmed alien crew members who could not function without their technological support systems. Admiral Wells realized that the key to defeating the Dominion was not matching their technology, but exploiting their dependence on it. She ordered attacks on alien command ships and communication relays, cutting off the computer networks that coordinated Dominion fleet movements and weapon systems. The final phase of the battle saw human forces using captured alien technology against its former owners while maintaining their tactical advantages. Human engineers quickly learned to operate alien energy weapons, but they kept their projectile systems as backup because alien equipment proved fragile under combat conditions. The Dominion fleet withdrew in confusion after losing more ships in one battle than they had lost in decades of conquest. Their reports to High Command described human weapons and tactics that seemed impossible by galactic standards, warning that this new enemy represented a completely different approach to warfare. News of the Dominion defeat spread through galactic communication networks within hours, shocking civilizations that had considered Dominion military superiority to be an absolute fact. The species that had emerged from the dead zone had not only survived first contact with the galaxy's most feared military force but had actually driven them away in defeat. Captain Collins received commendations from Earth Command for his successful defense, but he knew the real victory belonged to every human who had refused to accept alien assumptions about primitive technology and inferior capabilities. The galaxy was about to learn that sometimes the old ways of fighting were more effective than the most advanced weapon systems. The emergency session of the Galactic Council convened within days of the Dominion defeat, with representatives from hundreds of species gathering to discuss what they now called the human problem. Council President Veltar of the Aquatic Domains floated in his environmental tank while addressing an assembly hall filled with beings who had never imagined that their military assumptions could be so completely wrong. Intelligence analyst Captain Rachel Green presented her findings to the Council through holographic transmission from Earth Command. Her data showed that humans had been developing military technology and tactics for thousands of years, creating approaches to warfare that no galactic species had ever considered, because they seemed inefficient by technological standards. The report sent shockwaves through the assembly as representatives realized that human claims about their physical capabilities had actually been conservative estimates. Captain Green's medical data proved that humans could survive in conditions that would kill most galactic species, fight effectively while carrying equipment loads that would cripple alien soldiers, and maintain combat effectiveness in environments where advanced technology failed. Dr. Lisa Carter, published her comparative physiology studies through the Galactic Scientific Network, providing detailed analysis of the biological differences between humans and standard galactic species. Her research showed that Earth's dangerous environment had produced beings with bone density, muscle mass, and cardiovascular capacity that exceeded galactic maximums by significant margins. The scientific data caused panic among species that had dismissed human strength claims as primitive boasting. When translated into galactic standard measurements, human physical capabilities looked like the specifications for combat robots rather than natural biological organisms. The idea that entire species had evolved such attributes naturally. CHALLENGED, everything galactic science understood about intelligent life development. Diplomatic. Envoy Marcus Stone worked frantically to calm fears and prevent a galaxy-wide panic about human intentions. His messages to allied species emphasized that Earth sought peaceful cooperation and mutual benefit rather than conquest or domination, but his reassurances were complicated by continued reports of human military effectiveness against Dominion. Forces Field Marshal Tony Baker coordinated joint training exercises with species that had approached Earth for potential alliance against Dominion expansion. The exercises revealed that human soldiers could operate in gravitational fields, atmospheric conditions, and temperature ranges that would require extensive life support equipment for aliens to survive. The cultural exchange programs established during these joint operations produced surprising results as alien military advisors learned human tactical doctrine. Concepts like combined arms coordination, tactical flexibility, and improvised adaptation proved so effective that several species began incorporating human methods into their own military training programs. Captain Green's intelligence reports showed that the Dominion had begun recruiting additional species for a massive coalition aimed at containing human expansion before it could threaten established galactic order. Their propaganda campaign portrayed humans as savage warmongers from a death world who would destroy galactic civilization if not stopped immediately. However, several species that had suffered under Dominion oppression began reaching out to Earth for potential alliance. The Centauran Republic, Free Traders Association, and dozens of smaller civilizations saw humans as the first real challenge to Dominion hegemony in centuries, offering hope for liberation from an empire that had seemed invincible. Dr. Carter's research teams made breakthrough discoveries when they began combining human engineering principles with alien theoretical knowledge. The collaboration produced hybrid technologies that were both more robust than pure alien designs and more efficient than purely human systems, suggesting that cooperation between different approaches could benefit everyone. Marcus Stone negotiated the first formal alliance treaties between Earth and the Centauran Republic, establishing mutual defense agreements and technology-sharing protocols. The negotiations revealed that humans had advantages beyond military capability, including adaptability to different environments and problem-solving approaches that complemented alien strengths. Field Marshal Baker's joint military commands demonstrated the effectiveness of combined human and alien forces working together. Human tactical expertise paired with alien advanced sensors and energy weapons created fighting units that were more capable than either species could field independently. The galaxy began to divide into two camps as the implications of human capabilities became clear. Traditional powers led by the Dominion viewed humans as a threat to established order and began preparing for large-scale military action to contain their influence before it could spread further. Progressive species and oppressed colonies saw humans as potential liberators who offered new approaches to old problems. Their support for Earth came not just from military considerations, but from the hope that human adaptability and innovation could help solve challenges that had frustrated galactic civilization for centuries. Captain Green's intelligence network expanded rapidly as alien species began sharing information about Dominion fleet movements and strategic planning. The data revealed that the Empire was preparing for the largest military campaign in galactic history, designed to crush human resistance and eliminate their influence permanently. Dr. Carter published research showing that human-alien cooperation in scientific fields was producing advances that neither side could achieve alone. Human willingness to experiment with dangerous or unconventional approaches combined with alien theoretical knowledge created breakthrough technologies in energy generation. Faster than light travel and defensive systems, the technological advances worried Dominion leadership because they suggested that human influence would continue to grow even if Earth itself was conquered. The combination of human adaptability with alien knowledge threatened to create new approaches to civilization that could undermine Dominion control throughout the galaxy. Marcus Stone received communications from dozens of species requesting assistance against Dominion expansion or offering support for human-led resistance movements. The diplomatic correspondence revealed that the galaxy had been waiting for someone capable of challenging Dominion supremacy, and humans had become the symbol of hope for oppressed civilizations everywhere. Field Marshal Baker coordinated defense preparations for the coming war while establishing training programs that taught human tactics to alien allies. His forces prepared for battles that would determine whether the galaxy continued under Dominion rule or entered a new age, where cooperation and diversity were valued over conformity and technological supremacy. The Galactic Council adjourned without reaching consensus, effectively splitting into pro-human and pro-Dominion factions that would soon face each other in open warfare. President Veltar's final statement warned that the galaxy stood at a crossroads, where the choices made in the coming months would determine the future of civilization itself. Captain Green's final intelligence report confirmed that the Dominion coalition fleet was approaching human space with overwhelming numerical superiority. But her analysis also showed that many coalition species were reluctant participants, who might switch sides if human forces proved capable of sustained resistance. The stage was set for a conflict that would reshape galactic civilization. The largest fleet in galactic history assembled at the edge of human space as species from across the galaxy chose sides in a conflict that would determine the future of civilization. Admiral Patricia Wells commanded the combined human and allied forces from her flagship UN's Defiance, watching enemy formations that stretched beyond the horizon of space itself. The Dominion coalition brought thousands of ships representing dozens of species, all equipped with the most advanced energy weapons and defensive systems that galactic technology could provide. Their fleet commanders expected to overwhelm human resistance through sheer numbers and technological superiority. Ending the threat to established order once and for all, General Linda Foster led ground campaigns on contested worlds where human tactics continued to prove devastatingly effective against alien military doctrine. Her forces used terrain, weather, and environmental conditions as weapons while alien armies struggled to adapt to combat situations their training had never prepared them for. Engineer Maria Santos headed joint research teams that worked frantically to combine human engineering with alien technology, producing hybrid weapon systems and defensive equipment that could match Dominion capabilities while maintaining human reliability and adaptability. Her innovations gave allied forces tools they needed to fight enemies with superior individual technology. The first major battle of the war took place in the Centauri system, where human and Centauran forces faced a Dominion fleet 3 times their size. Commodore Jake Morrison, promoted from his exploration duties, commanded the defensive forces using tactics that scattered his ships across multiple star systems to avoid concentrated enemy fire. The battle demonstrated the effectiveness of human strategic thinking against alien tactical assumptions. Instead of meeting the enemy in traditional fleet formation, Morrison's forces struck at supply lines, communication relays, and isolated squadrons while avoiding direct confrontation with the main Dominion fleet. Commander Ryan Blake coordinated intelligence operations that turned Dominion technological advantages against them by feeding false information into their communication networks and disrupting their computer-coordinated battle plans. The cyber warfare techniques humans had developed proved effective against alien systems that had never faced such attacks. General Foster's campaigns on planetary surfaces showed that human ground forces could defeat alien armies even when outnumbered by significant margins. Her soldiers used combined arms tactics, environmental advantages, and psychological warfare to break enemy morale while inflicting casualties that Dominion commanders considered impossible. The war reached its turning point when Maria Santos successfully reverse-engineered captured Dominion technology to create human-operated energy weapons that maintained projectile backup systems. The hybrid technology gave human forces the firepower to match alien capabilities while keeping the reliability that had made them effective in earlier battles. Admiral Wells launched the decisive campaign against Dominion fortress worlds that had been considered impregnable by galactic military science. Her fleet used human tactical innovation combined with alien advanced sensors to break through defensive systems that had protected the Dominion heartland for centuries. The assault on the primary Dominion fortress demonstrated the evolution of human tactical thinking as they incorporated lessons learned from alien allies. Commander Blake's modified electronic warfare systems disabled Dominion computer networks while human boarding parties captured key installations using conventional weapons and close combat techniques. The final battle saw combined human and alien forces working together with unprecedented coordination as both sides learned from each other's strengths. Human adaptability and tactical flexibility paired with alien advanced technology created fighting units that were more effective than either species could field independently. General Foster's ground assault on the Dominion capital world showcased the complete integration of human and alien military capabilities. Her forces used alien energy weapons for precision strikes while maintaining human projectile systems for reliability, creating combined arms units that could handle any battlefield situation. The Dominion leadership surrendered when they realized that their technological advantages could not overcome the combination of human tactical innovation and alien scientific knowledge. Their empire, built on the assumption that advanced technology guaranteed military superiority, collapsed when faced with enemies who fought using principles they had never encountered. Ambassador Helen Ford led the negotiations that established the new Galactic Federation based on cooperation and mutual respect rather than technological dominance. Her diplomatic skills helped create a framework where different species could contribute their unique strengths while learning from each other's approaches. Dr. Sam Williams headed the interspecies medical exchange that combined human knowledge of battlefield medicine with alien advanced healing technology. The collaboration produced medical techniques that could save lives and treat injuries that would have been fatal using either human or alien methods alone. Chief Nina Thompson established joint security protocols that used human tactical doctrine, combined with alien detection and communication systems to create peacekeeping forces capable of preventing future conflicts. Her integrated approach to security became the model for maintaining order in the new galactic government. Maria Santos directed technology, sharing programs that spread human engineering principles throughout galactic civilization while incorporating alien scientific advances into human systems. The exchange created innovations that benefited all species while maintaining the diversity of approaches that made cooperation valuable. The new Federation established exploration programs that sent mixed crews of humans and aliens to map unknown regions of the galaxy. Commodore Morrison led the first joint expedition beyond known space, using human adaptability and alien technology to discover new worlds and civilizations that had remained hidden. Dr. Carter published the definitive study of interspecies cooperation that became required reading throughout the Federation. Her research showed that the diversity of approaches to problem-solving was more valuable than any single technological or biological advantage, creating a foundation for peaceful coexistence. The galaxy that had once thought Earth was alone in a dead zone now recognized that isolation had allowed humanity to develop unique solutions to universal problems. Human tactical thinking, adaptability, and willingness to experiment with unconventional approaches complemented alien technological advancement and theoretical knowledge. Captain Green established the Federation Intelligence Service that used human analytical methods combined with alien data processing capabilities to prevent conflicts before they could escalate into wars. Her integrated approach to information gathering became essential for maintaining peace between diverse species with different needs and capabilities, the transformation of galactic civilization from a collection of competing powers to a cooperative federation demonstrated that diversity of thought and approach was more valuable than conformity to established norms. The species that had emerged from the dead zone became the catalyst for a renaissance that valued innovation over tradition. Earth took its place not as a conqueror but as a teacher and partner in galactic civilization. The world that was never supposed to harbor intelligent life became the cornerstone of a new age where cooperation between different approaches to life and technology created possibilities that no single species could achieve alone. The galaxy had thought they were alone in their methods, but they were wrong, and that mistake became the foundation for a better future for everyone.